There is a god who rides across the sky in a chariot pulled by two giant goats, dragging storm clouds behind him. A god so massive that when he eats he consumes an entire ox in a single sitting. A god who once drank so deeply from a drinking horn that he lowered the level of the ocean. A god who spent a night wrestling an old woman and couldn't pin her, only to discover the old woman was old age itself, and no one has ever pinned her. This is Thor. And the real Thor, the one the Vikings actually believed in, is one of the most extraordinary figures in all of world mythology. Welcome back to Mythos Uncovered, and today we are heading north. Away from the Mediterranean world we have been exploring and into the frozen forests and stormy seas of ancient Scandinavia. Norse mythology is a completely different beast from Greek or Egyptian myth, and Thor sits right at the heart of it. Let's get into it. Thor was the son of Odin, the Allfather and king of the Norse gods, and a giantess of the earth named Njord. He was the god of thunder, storms, strength, and the protection of mankind. And unlike some gods who sit at a comfortable distance from the human world, Thor was deeply and actively involved in it. He was the defender, the one who stood between the world of gods and men and the endless chaos that threatened to swallow both. The Norse cosmos was not a comfortable place. It was built on violence and destined to end in it. The universe rested on the great world tree Yggdrasil, whose branches spread across 9 distinct realms. At the top, Asgard, home of the gods. In the middle, Midgard, the world of humans, surrounded by a vast ocean. And beyond that ocean, in the frozen wastes and dark mountains, the giants, the Jotnar. Ancient, powerful, chaotic forces that had existed before the gods themselves and that pushed constantly against the boundaries of the ordered world. Thor's entire purpose, mythologically speaking, was to push back. He was described in the ancient texts as enormous, massively built, red-bearded, with eyes like burning coals, and a voice like a thunderclap. He ate and drank on a scale that defied belief. He was not subtle, not strategic, not particularly interested in wisdom or cunning. That was Odin's territory. Thor was the hammer, the force, the god you called when something needed to be hit very hard. And his hammer was Mjölnir, possibly the most famous weapon in all of Norse mythology, and the story of how it was made is one of the funniest in the entire tradition. One day Loki, the trickster god and blood brother of Odin, cut off all of Thor's wife Sif's hair while she slept. This was a serious insult. Sif's golden hair was considered one of the most beautiful things in existence. Thor's rage was immediate and absolute, and Loki, to save himself, promised to travel to Nidavellir and get the dwarves to make Sif new hair out of actual gold. The dwarf brothers he found not only made golden hair for Sif, but threw in 2 other legendary objects: the spear Gungnir, which became Odin's weapon, and the ship Skidbladnir, which could sail any sea and fold up small enough to fit in a pocket. Loki, feeling confident, then made a bet with another dwarf named Brokkr, wagering his own head that Brokkr and his brother Sindri could not make 3 items as magnificent. The dwarves accepted. Sindri worked the forge while Brokkr operated the bellows. And the deal was that the bellows could not stop moving or the magic would be ruined. Loki transformed himself into a fly and bit Brokkr repeatedly to break his concentration. Brokkr kept going through the first item, and the second. But on the third, just as the final object was nearly complete, Loki bit him on the eyelid so hard that Brokkr flinched, and the bellows stopped for just a moment. The result was Mjölnir, the most powerful weapon ever forged, but with one flaw. Its handle was slightly too short. The gods judged the contest and agreed that despite the short handle, Mjölnir was the greatest of all the items made. Brokkr won the bet and was owed Loki's head. But Loki pointed out that Brokkr was owed his head, but not his neck. Since cutting off a head without touching the neck was impossible, the debt could not be collected. Brokkr, furious, settled for sewing Loki's lips shut instead. Hey, quick pause right here. If you're enjoying this, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It genuinely helps this channel grow and means more myths, more stories, more uncovering. All right, back to Thor. One of the most beloved stories in the entire Norse tradition is the time Thor's hammer was stolen. Mjölnir went missing overnight, taken by Thrym, king of the frost giants, who had hidden it deep beneath the earth and refused to return it unless he was given the goddess Freya as his bride. Freya refused, furiously, and the gods were in crisis because without Mjölnir the giants would eventually overrun Asgard. It was Loki who came up with a solution. Thor, he suggested, should disguise himself as Freya and go to the giants' hall as the bride. Thor was not enthusiastic about this plan. But the situation was desperate, so Thor put on a bridal dress and a veil, with Loki disguised as his handmaiden, and they traveled to Jotunheim. At the wedding feast, Thrym was confused by his bride's appetite. Thor ate an entire ox, ate salmon, and drank 3 barrels of mead. Loki improvised brilliantly, explaining that the bride had been too lovesick to eat for 8 days and was simply catching up. When Mjölnir was brought out to bless the marriage as was custom, Thor grabbed it, threw off the veil, and proceeded to kill every giant in the hall. It is a genuinely absurd story, and the Norse people loved it. It survives in a poem called the Thrymskvida, one of the best-preserved pieces of Old Norse poetry, believed to have been told and retold around fires for generations. The Norse had no problem with their greatest warrior god dressing in a bridal gown if it meant he got to kill giants at the end. Thor also features in the mythology surrounding the end of the world, Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. In that final battle, Thor will face his oldest enemy, Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, a creature so vast it encircles the entire world and bites its own tail. Thor and the serpent are fated to meet in combat, and Thor will kill Jormungandr. But the dying serpent's venom will fill the air, and Thor will walk 9 steps after the killing blow before he falls. 9 steps. That is all. The god who spent his entire existence protecting the world of men will die doing exactly that. And the Norse found that ending not tragic but fitting. He goes out the only way Thor ever could, swinging. The influence of Thor on everyday life in the ancient Norse world was profound and personal. He was not a distant god. Ordinary people prayed to him. Farmers asked him for good harvests and rain. Sailors asked him for safe passage. Couples asked him to bless their marriages. Mjölnir pendants have been found all across Scandinavia and the Viking diaspora, worn around the neck as protection. Archaeologists have found them in graves, in hoards, in settlements from Iceland to Russia. In some sites, they have been found buried alongside Christian crosses, worn by people who were hedging their bets between the old faith and the new, but who were not quite ready to stop asking Thor for protection. Thursday, the day you are probably watching this, is literally named after him. Thor's Day. It is the same in nearly every Germanic language, a reminder that his name was so woven into daily life that even 1,000 years of change could not pull it out. So, Thor. Not a polished or perfect hero, but something older and stranger and more honest. A figure born from the belief that the world is a dangerous and chaotic place, and that someone strong and brave and stubborn enough needs to stand at its edge and hold the line. The Vikings believed that line held because Thor held it, every single day, without rest and without complaint. A god of thunder who dressed as a bride to get his hammer back. A warrior who ate an ox for dinner and called it a light meal. A protector who will die doing the one thing he was made for, defending the world he was given to guard. Loud, imperfect, unstoppable, and completely devoted. The myths always have more in them than we first think. That's why we're here. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Mythos Uncovered. It genuinely means a lot that you spend your time here with me diving into these ancient stories. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss a new myth. And drop a comment below telling me what myth or legend you want me to cover next. Every single comment gets read, and the next video might just come from you. I'll see you in the next one.